Weekly.
Welcome to Discovery Weekly, a show dedicated to just discovering new things every week. Doesn't matter what it is. If we discovered it, we want to talk about it. I am Zach.
And I am Matt.
And we have talked a lot on the show, and it's time for an update on some amazing things that happened in space in the past week, because there's been a lot.
There has.
The Perseverance rover, which is the one that they have recently gotten on Mars, did a test where literally they created oxygen from their atmosphere. That was one of the things they had on board the Perseverance rover, is that from a non-habitable atmosphere, we would not be able to breathe it. They have pulled pure oxygen. So they have they're testing things for terraforming. They're testing things for settlements on Mars. So success, done. Ingenuity, which is the tiny helicopter that was in the kangaroo pouch of Perseverance, has flown not once, not twice, but now thrice, has flown on a different planet and has accomplished exactly what the scientists were going for. There is awesome pictures of, you can see from the air in Mars, you can see where Perseverance has been driving around. You can see all the tracks on the ground. There is amazing photos coming out of all of these things happening. Definitely go check them out. And the other thing that happened just this week is SpaceX has put 4 more astronauts on the International Space Station, and they used a recycled rocket. They are doing that whole thing. It's all just so like mind-boggling to me, because if we were to think, even when we were growing up, there's going to be a company that it's not like you shoot the rocket into space and it's gone forever type thing. They're just going to reuse those things. They're going to send people to space. They're going to bring the rocket back. They're going to fix it up and do it again. They do. Those rockets land on barges in the ocean. Like, all of it's just crazy. But yeah, they've just had a very successful trip, and there is the most people we've had on the International Space Station for a decade are currently in orbit around Earth. So if you are at all interested in space stuff, check out NASA's page, because you can watch live streams of people doing spacewalks. You can see all kinds of extremely high quality photos and videos from alien planets. And like, it's just a crazy time and a fun time to watch what's happening in space.
I didn't know they were doing this terraforming thing. I didn't know that they had done the oxygen.
I think this is the first time we've created oxygen out of an alien atmosphere.
That's crazy.
So it's not like a ton, because it had to fit on top, like inside of that rover. They're limited on space, but they wanted to start testing that idea of like, can we draw oxygen from an atmosphere and like start to build these things, because they're planning bases on the moon. They're thinking big right now, because as soon as you have a base on the moon, then you can start thinking about transporting a lot of stuff.
Total military domination of the universe.
Don't get me wrong. I'm sure that has crossed minds. Like, it would not at all be a stretch to think that it hasn't.
That'd be great if they're trying to figure out if you can pull oxygen, so they can figure out if you can fire guns.
It's like, will a gun work here? Can we put a flag like the old days and say, hey, we put a flag here. This is ours now. No, but there's just some really cool stuff going on in space, and you can see a lot of it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but you can watch a live stream spacewalk. You can watch people floating around in orbit around our planet on Twitch. It's not something like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to see this. Got to get around no, it's just, you can watch it on your phone. Man,
I've not seen one of those, but I did see the helicopter fly for 6 seconds and then fall back down.
Yep. So the Ingenuity did it the first time, and then they've done it 2 more times. It just keeps flying farther and farther, like a little beast.
Look at that.
Just some cool stuff happening in space.
Yeah, and what's the best way? He said Twitch, and
I think you can see any of this through NASA's website.
Gotcha.
They'll have all kinds.
Is that a .com? Just kidding.
I think it is, right? No, I think it's a .gov, right?
Is that a .xxx?
Yes. .tv
was NASA.com was taken.
It's .gov. I bet they bought .com too. I'm curious now. Just like type it in.
They probably do.
I mean, why not? Like you probably want to snag all those domain names if possible.
Man, yeah, there has been a lot happening. Well, my discovery, my first one is way less profound, but pretty great. I showed Zach a few of these songs. This band, who is now based in Los Angeles but is originally from Orlando, Florida, called the Cooties. They are a comedy band and a really good band. I think the best place, I tried to find them online and actually led to my second discovery, but we'll get to that later. But their best, the thing I think that they keep up with the most is their YouTube. And that is youtube.com/the Cooties. The Cooties.
You can try and figure out where those accents are based on how he just said that.
Yes. Yeah. There's actually 100 accents.
So, I mean, yeah.
They're stacked.
Really, the challenge is guessing how many E's are in the end of the Cooties. So,
no, it is spelled like you would think it's spelled. COOTIES. They're really, really talented musicians, first and foremost. And then secondly, they're so funny. They really harness this type of humor that's like very contemporary, very unique. It's kind of this manic energy. I know I talked about Josh Fadem the last time, and it's harnessing that, I think, through music.
Yeah.
But check them out. They have some really good ones. They came out with a song called Stay Home a while ago, actually prior to the pandemic happening. But then
really?
Yeah.
It just fit. It also fit with the pandemic.
It was like good press for them.
It's like, look, we already had this in the can.
But the three band members are Eric, Ethan, and Jacob. They all have different things going on. Jacob Jeffries is actually a pretty talented musician, singer-songwriter stuff. And Cape Weather is Eric plays drums for that band. And they're doing pretty good. And I briefly touched on this Cooties podcast. I don't know if it's specifically them all. So far, I've only seen Eric and Ethan on there, but it's called Success Express, and it's a video podcast.
Oh, okay.
Very fun, like very manic. Love the editing that's done on it and everything, but they improvise a lot of songs, and the format's just really fun and kept my attention for the whole thing. But definitely check them out, the Cooties. And careful of how you Google that, because you probably won't find them.
Yeah, you might find other things. But yes. I'm trying to. What was the name of the song that we listened to? The Raisins song.
It's called Raisins.
Okay. Well, that makes it easy. Definitely check out that Raisin song. It's hilarious. And actually watch the video. It kind of does. It adds a lot. Yeah.
What's cool is they, I think their most recent ones, I think 4 or 5 of them, they've been recording in studio and taping them, recording them. And they have such great comedy chops that you really should watch them do it, because they do things, very subtle things with one another that really make the jokes come across.
Yeah, it's really funny. You should definitely watch it. So I'm trying to decide the best way to approach this discovery. I'm going to start. I'll just start at the beginning, because there was a man who one day got a red paperclip, and you might think that that's not really
that's big kind of a deal. Discovery.
Yeah, no, that's not. It's not really that. It's not
one
really
day
that big
someone
of a deal.
got a paperclip. That's something.
But this man was able to, through Craigslist barter section, eventually trade that red paperclip for a house. And he has a blog that is straight out of the early/mid 2000s, because that's when this was happening. And it's still just the same thing. It's Blogspot, if that helps you out.
Oh, yeah,
Blogspot. That was peak.
Their little B logo.
It's the year 2003, and I'm going to put my content out there. So he started out with a red paperclip, and I kind of just want to take you through this journey, because so it kind of makes sense. He traded the red paperclip for a little pen that looks like a fish, like a writing pen that just is in the shape of a fish.
Okay.
So that one, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, makes sense. Then he traded the fish pen for what is a extremely disturbing looking. It looks like what's his name, Jack Skellington.
Yeah,
it looks like Jack Skellington's head, but homemade, and it's a doorknob, like a custom doorknob. So he traded the fish pen for that, and so all the while he's like documenting this. He's putting pictures online. He's blogging the whole thing out. Somebody wanted that doorknob because they needed it for the top of their coffee pot. So it was the perfect thing for his like campsite espresso thing. It was missing its knob on the top of it. And he's like, I'm going to put this weird doorknob on top. And he traded him a Coleman camp stove. So one of those little gas powered stoves. Yeah. This is probably his first big step up where he went from a weird doorknob to like a camp stove. So then he went from the camp stove to a little red generator. So nothing like gigantic, but like just like a tiny little generator. And the guy just said that he really needed a camp stove with full fuel. And he's like, done. Great deal. So each one of these, he's getting like progressively like better. So now he has a red generator where once he had a red paperclip. And somebody really needed a generator. And so they traded him. This is another pretty big one, I think.
What?
He traded the red generator for one beer keg, one giant neon Budweiser sign, and an IOU for a keg's worth of beer. And so I mean, that's quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
Like that's quite a bit of money when you think that's
$300-$400.
What for just the beer? I mean, how much is the neon sign? You know, like that's what I'm trying to think because it's one of the like fairly big like bar signs.
Really?
So somebody, I guess, really wanted a generator and they had a leftover bar thing. And so what he ended up kind of framing this as is an instant party. So he put on there that he was going to trade somebody an instant party where they can have a keg of beer. They can have, and I mean, it's the keg and the beer and then like a sign and that's it. Somebody's probably just like, I'll just take it for the beer. But what he got here was another pretty big step up. They call it a ski-doo. So it's like a sea-doo, but it's like a snowmobile. And,
what?
Yeah. So apparently all good. Like I think it's mostly just he was finding people who had just started to make sense. I do think this is when he started to pick up national press. So people started kind of following this thing happening. So he would be on TV stations and stuff like that. So there might have been some like kind of goodwill included in this where people are like, yeah, I want to be a part of this crazy story. And like, I have this thing laying around and I like beer. So I'll trade you over.
Wow.
So he got this, like a little, it looks like a little snowmobile. And so once he has the snowmobile, and I know this is ridiculous, but it's funny to hear this whole thing. Then he got, a trip to Yak. I don't know how to pronounce it, but, he got a trip. And essentially, he traded the snowmobile for like a truck up there, like a little tiny janky box truck, like a little thing so that he could take it up there. He calls it a cube van. And so he got the cube van and he got it for the little jet ski thing or the snowmobile. Sorry, we're Floridian. And then he traded that truck for a recording contract, which meant 30 hours of recording time. And first of all of this will be better if you read his blog post because you can see like who he was negotiating with on this and how he's able to do it. But yeah, he traded the cube van for a recording contract, which meant 30 hours of recording time, 50 hours in mixing or post, which this is all a lot of time. Transportation to or from Toronto, to and from, so plane from wherever, plane tickets, and accommodations in Toronto. And then not only that, but they pitched your album to executives at Sony, BMG, and XM Radio.
What?
Yeah. So this
is around 2002, 2003 now, right?
Let's see when this one was.
Because that's a huge deal then.
Yeah, that would be crazy at that time. I think it ended in 2006. So like I would guess somewhere right around there, like 4 or 5 maybe.
Wow.
So this is a pretty big one, and this is where he starts to get the step ups, where it's pretty significant, and it gets more ridiculous too, honestly. So he had a recording contract, and he's like, "Okay, time to go barter." And someone traded that recording contract for an entire fully paid year in Phoenix. So there was a house that you could stay in Phoenix, and so you could stay there for a year, and that's how he traded it. And essentially, somebody got that recording contract and went and took their shot. So I guess
and his name was R. Kelly.
R. Kelly.
It's like, what?
It's a strange first one. I mean, her name was Jody Nant, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Okay.
But yeah, so she traded him this place to stay for a year. So a year's lease in Phoenix. And so from this, he got this is a lot better if you read it because it's the whole thing. But the other person who lives in Jody Nant's duplex knew Alice Cooper. And so part of what he traded for that house was an afternoon with Alice Cooper. And so that's where this next one goes, is that he got the afternoon with Alice Cooper for the house. And so then he traded that. He traded the afternoon with Alice Cooper. And first of all, he got to meet him too. And he also he got to go, and it looks like he went on stage. This is by about halfway through this, people were figuring out that he was doing this. And I don't know if he kind of put it out there, but people were figuring out that he was on this journey to see if what was the top end? If you have a paperclip, where's the top end of what you can trade for?
People are like, oh, it's definitely the Alice Cooper thing. Yeah. And I love that each thing, it's like, oh, it's definitely this. That's the max.
And
but holy hell.
This is a weird one. So he traded the afternoon with Alice Cooper for a Kiss snow globe. And this seems weird, but it gets even weirder. It's I guess the entire thing is, I guess Kiss has a strong following. Like they have a very devout following. So this is probably extremely exclusive. It's motorized. It's like a specialty thing that if you can find the person who would want it, you can get a lot for it type thing. He found something specific.
Yes.
So he got a Kiss snow globe. And this one was funny too. The person who wanted the Kiss snow globe was Corbin Burnson, who then traded, he's from not League of Their Own, Major Leagues, the Charlie Sheen movie. He was in Psych. He was in Swing. No, I can't remember. He's an actor. He's an actor. Yeah. He's been around. But he is the one who wanted the snow globe. And so Corbin Burnson traded him the snow globe for a role in a movie. And so then once again, he's jumped. So like you literally can offer someone a role. So one paid credited speaking role in a film by Public Media Works, room and board during filming, return airfare from anywhere in the world, a high five from me, and if you're lucky and he's in a good mood, Corbin Burnson.
What?
So yeah, that's happening. So he has now got, you will be paid in a movie. You will be credited in a movie. So this is important.
That's big, yeah.
And for that, he received the house.
Wow.
And he is now selling that house. That's why I first stumbled on this story. And I needed to see like how you get from a paperclip. Because I always think of like that scene in The Office where he's like doing the whole little swap thing and he ends up getting like, it's just classic Jim and Dwight shenanigans by the end. But like that's all fake. This really happened.
Where's the house?
The house, let's see. Let's look it up on Google Earth. And it's in Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan. Interesting. I love that. Like he's just selling the house.
Yeah, he's like, he's like, it's time for the house to be someone else's now.
God, can you imagine though what he could get for a house?
Yeah. No, and I mean, I don't think he's trading it. He's like, I'm done with the bartering. I know he should. Like, we should see if he can get to like a country or something one day.
Because I have never heard in my lifetime of someone trading something for a house.
No.
Because I can't even fathom what could be in the same tier,
Yeah, no, I guess.
Like, that's like, hey, yeah, come on the SpaceX rocket, like. Like,
No,
that's a lot of money.
It ended up being a movie role is what did it. But yeah.
Wow.
Just a crazy story. But yeah, I saw that he was selling the house and I had to know the whole story.
That's so fascinating. So 2006.
Yep.
Wow. Jeez. And he had lived there, I presume.
Yeah, I think he'd been living there since then.
Dude, let's go on Craigslist, Zach.
See what we can trade.
Yeah. I sadly think that it will be not much.
Yeah.
I don't think not much gets much in a trade.
Yeah.
Hey, I got nothing. What do you want for it?
Yeah, nothing.
I'll give you nothing. Good trade.
Done.
Good trade. Well, I briefly teased it with my first discovery of the Cooties. So I went on Google and was like, I want to check out their bio or whatever, their website, see what, I can actually say. It's not kept up very well. You can go to it. It's called wearethecooties.com. But I typed in Cooties, the Cooties website. Not a good Google by any means.
Yeah, a dangerous Google.
But I came across something called the United States Military Order of the Cootie. And that's weird, right? So I was like, I have to click on that.
Yeah. No, I would definitely click on that.
And it sends you to a website where on the front page, it has a little banner at the top, United States Military Order of the Cooties, organized September 17th, 1920.
Wow.
I don't know what this means, but Supreme Pup Tent. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either.
But basically, you scroll down and it's got a picture of a man wearing a very, very weird hat. I can't even fathom what. Like,
I've never seen a hat that shape.
I haven't either. It's like half of a pharaoh's hat, or no, it's like half of a pope's hat, just cut off at the top.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like they shortened a pope's hat.
Yeah. Yeah. They just chopped it off, and then they put tassels on the corners. Very weird. A very strange looking man. And upon further investigation, supposedly the United States Military Order of the Cooties is actually a let me pull up the exact nomenclature and everything, but it was started as like a thing for veterans, wounded veterans and stuff. It's a like an entertainment thing where, good Lord, get me on here. Okay, the Cooties history. I'll just read through a bit of it. The Military Order of the Cootie of the United States is a nonprofit veterans service organization. They are known as the honor degree of the VFW, and their members are comprised of the officers and leadership of the veterans of foreign wars and the United States. So, like, they're like, this is a thing,
great. Nonprofit,
right? It was founded in New York City on September 17, 1920, like I said, and the Order of the Cooties is based on the principles of good humor and fun.
I like it.
Right? Okay, so it's like the goofy version of the military.
I mean, it's just so crazy. Like, because you think about the 20s, the 1920, like, as a start date, what was even the culture like to start this group?
I imagine it's like, hi, what's going on? I'm a soldier.
Yeah, because that would have been, okay, maybe it was kind of like the recovery type stuff for World War One.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because I mean, that was they knew what PTSD was, but they called it shell shock, and like, you need to just pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yep. But this is great. So over the past 90 years, the Cooties have provided social and entertainment programs to members of the veterans of foreign wars, the U.S. as an ancillary unit within the organization. Since 1923, their first year as a part of the VFW, the Cooties have worked hard to further the aims of the VFW while adding to the frivolity known as military humor to the serious work of our parent organization. Okay, so yes, it's exactly that. It's essentially because down here it says that with the outbreak of World War II, the Cooties recognized a need to entertain hospitalized troops and veterans during their confinement and rehabilitation as Veterans Administration facilities throughout the country. Their service program is described as a directive to, quote unquote, keep them smiling in beds of white. It's great. So it's essentially Patch Adams, but for the military.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you first showed me, because it literally, he was looking at this and he just saw this. He's like, oh, what's happening right now? I need to explore this. But it looks weird. But then the more you talked about it, I was like, oh, this is cool. This is a cool thing. They're just trying to make it so that people that are recovering are happy and laughing. That is a huge win.
Yeah, I can only imagine what the process of what it all is.
Yeah, no, but it's, I don't know. Sometimes you just stumble on things because there's no way I'd ever know about that otherwise.
Definitely. So the website is lotcs.org. It's worth going to because it's actually a pretty extensive website. I'm pretty sure they have like merch that you can get and stuff.
Seems like a pretty cool thing to support.
Yeah. And, it's one of those things where it's like there's down here in St. Pete, there's the Polish Club, and it's all this kind of like hokey, like older generation stuff that you can. It's very much that, right? Where it's like big bright colors. It's like definitely obviously predates the internet in 1920, but it's like they still don't really get it. And they're just like those vaudevillian people who are just walking around being like, hey, oh, do you like to laugh? That's the sound I always make. That's like Blues from Blues Clues.
Yeah, oh man, Blues Clues.
But yeah, that was I'm definitely going to have to go through this a lot more because there are like 10 tabs. Like, this is what I mean by they don't understand the internet and like user interface. It's fun to go through because it's
rich
like,
in data and content.
Rich in data. Yeah, their script for the actual website is atrocious.
It's just that they were pre that being a thing. They're like, we have so much information available for you on our website. And it's like, wow, you really do. I don't know where to go to where to start with this. But no, it sounds like a really cool thing.
A ton of merch. I was just going through it and it's all in a Word doc.
It's in a Word doc.
So you have to like call them and order it.
So yeah. But it seems like it's probably worth it. It's a cool organization.
LOTCS.org.
Yeah. Check it out. Well, I saw this video this week and it made me have some questions essentially. But there was a video that I saw that was, and I'll put this in the show notes. I won't describe every single one of them, but it's about, there's a position called food stylist. And it's every single one of these hamburgers you see on a commercial, every single like beer being poured, Cokes, whatever else, that is done by a professional photographer assistant, sort of. A lot of times they're photographers as well. And there's a bunch of tricks to this, and a vast majority of them are not edible. So, so like, okay, to make a beer nice and foamy for a long time, because, okay, also to give them credit, they have all of this food under really hot photography lights for an indefinite amount of time. Like,
I mean, I've been on set. I think I told you, but we were outside and told not to drink or eat the actual thing that we had, and it was just like they kept having to spray the cups with water bottles to look like they were cold.
Look like it was still cold. Sure.
And they're like, "Don't drink this.
Don't drink it. Just it's supposed to look refreshing."
Okay.
But yeah, this is a whole thing. And this is something that's been done for a very long time. It basically, as soon as visual media became a thing, they're like, how can we make this look more appealing?
Which is so funny because none of those things make it like more appeling when you think about them.
It's like a buzzkill when you get the actual thing, I feel like.
Yeah.
No, but okay. But, and I mean, I saw this video of a McDonald's, like a corporate person who was doing one of these photo shoots. She's like, we're just trying to demonstrate what all's in there, because if you have a bun on there, you can't tell that there's slivered onions.
Yeah,
you can't tell that there's pickles. Just tucked in there, warm and safe, but you can't see them. And so like they kind of frame it that way, where they're trying to present everything that's available in this wonderful product. But they also do weird stuff like coffee. A lot of times will be soy sauce because it's a nice, like rich color, and they will make the foam out of like literally soap foam because it'll hold longer.
Yep.
And like they used to make ice cream out of mashed potatoes because it wouldn't melt.
Oh, I didn't think about that one.
Because all these things, they have to be sitting under lights wherever they're at for however long it takes to get the shot they're going for.
My favorite one that I've seen like on set was a hamburger. But what they did is they put toothpicks in each individual layer and then brought them forward to the side that was going to be facing camera. So if you were to like pick it up, all of this stuff would be like on one side of the burger. It was so, like the pickles, pickles would have to be showing through. And
so it's like all on the edge. Yeah. There's one great bite of that hamburger and the rest is terrible.
It's just atrocious. And it's so fun because there's also ones where they like space it out on the side that's not facing the camera so that on the other side they're closer together.
Oh.
So it's like they put foam in between. It's so weird. It's so fascinating.
No, and like I saw one they used to do was they do a fabric sealer, I think they call it. So like starch for clothes.
Yeah.
And they do it on pancakes because then the syrup doesn't sink in. You know how you see those like the Aunt Jemima commercials where it's like falling slowly over the side? That's because it's not absorbing into the pancake, which is not anybody's actual experience.
That's so funny.
One of the weirder ones is basically anything that's milk is glue. It's actually just Elmer's glue. They also mix Elmer's glue with mozzarella, and they screw down the pizza, except for the slice. They're gonna, you know what I'm talking about? That slice reveal where they're like, look at this stretchy pizza. It's stretchy because it's glue mixed with mozzarella, and they literally screw down the pizza on the other side so it doesn't move. Because I've never picked up a slice of pizza where it stretched that much, but the rest of it stayed down. You know what I mean? You have options. One, they didn't cut the pizza well, and you like pick up half the pizza and you have to like shake it loose or like cut it loose, or it just like comes out of there, but it's never that clean.
And that's the kind of stuff that's like literally is what people are describing when they say movie magic and stuff, because it's great. Like that's, in the old films where it would be raining, that was milk because water doesn't show up on camera as well. So anytime, like those old I think It's a Wonderful Life. I think it's raining at one point. It's milk. He just has milk like being poured on him,
pulverized with milk.
Yeah, and it's just tons of milk.
They're like, well, just pour milk on him.
But it's being on set is super fascinating and seeing that stuff because not only with all of that, but lights too change everything. The way everything looks, even the darkest scene that you've ever seen, a lot of Coen Brothers movies, super dark. You can't see much. If you were behind looking out towards the set or towards the camera, there'd just be tons of lights, tons of them.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can't picture it, because it doesn't make sense to our eyes and brains, but it only makes sense when it's actually on camera, which is so funny that noticing all of this stuff. Cause what is the other one they do? They I think they even spray for like sauces and stuff, chicken wings and stuff. You spray it with,
they do a lot of hairspray spraying.
Yes, yeah, a lot of hairspray.
So they do it with fruits and things like that. They'll use like lipstick to make strawberries look redder, and then you just blast it with hairspray, so it looks like shiny.
Funny.
So like, if you're ever seeing like somebody shooting like some food photography, you probably shouldn't eat it. I mean,
don't.
It's not going to be something you want. But what I was curious about is this all just okay? Like, is it all just go for it? Do whatever you want. Yeah, that's mashed potatoes, but we're going to sell it as ice cream. Apparently, the rules are it must contain the actual ingredients of what you're selling. So the way that they can get away with the Elmer's glue thing is because
they put glue in the milk.
Yeah, they're not selling the milk. They're selling the cereal. So the cereal is exactly what it's supposed to be, but because it's in glue, it doesn't get soggy and it floats better. But if they were selling milk, they would have to use actual milk. And so like on a hamburger, a lot of times what they'll also do is they'll like paint like smoke on there. It's not actually cooked. It's just like they just like paint it to look like it's cooked. And they'll do the same thing with like chicken. I saw one where they just like used the torch and made the skin cook a little bit, and they just like painted it brown essentially.
Wow.
It looks very appetizing, but it's not. It's raw. But essentially, as long as it contains the actual ingredients you're trying to sell, good to go. But apparently there was a lawsuit on Campbell's at one point because what they were doing, and this was in the 1970s. The FTC issued a complaint charging the Campbell Soup Company with false advertising in its TV commercials. The company had put glass marbles in its condensed soup to make the solid ingredients rise to the top. This, the FTC decided, made it look like there was significantly more vegetables than really came in a can of Campbell's. And eventually they stopped doing the ads. So apparently there is a thin line between like false advertising and making it look right. So I never really thought of that. Yeah. So I was curious because there's so many rules about like food in general. And like obviously nobody has ever gone to McDonald's and had a burger that looked anything like anything you've ever seen on a McDonald's commercial. That's part of the magic of it. You go there and you're like, oh, what's that? And that's your food. That's the surprise. Oh my God. But yeah, no, it was just and definitely check out the video and the link. It's or in the show notes. It's really funny because you see all these things. You're like, that does look strangely appetizing. And you know that it's disgusting. You know, that it's mostly like glue and soap and things, but you're like, it does look, it looks great. Like eating Play-Doh. It's like, I could really go for a cup of coffee right now. Yeah. Even though it's soy sauce with soap bubbles on it. Although delicious soy sauce. Nice glass of soy sauce. Yeah. Yeah. I'll start drinking that in the morning. See how I feel later. Mean, it will probably wake you up if you start taking gulps of soy sauce. But the soap is what keeps you up. Yeah. No, I think it's true. I think that's true. But yeah, that's all for this week. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will talk to you again next week. Bye.
This was a podcast from the Podfix Network.